Hey Siri, what's the weather outside?
It's currently clear and 27 degrees. Expect cloudy skies starting in the afternoon. Today's high will be 59, and the low will be 26 degrees.
Can you believe that? It is almost June, and Siri just told me that the weather outside is 27 stinking degrees. Come on now. Come on now. Wyoming. Wow.
Never at ease, I don't know a limit. Chasing a dream, I don't know what sleep is. I got a queen, she lit me the evening. She ripe like a peach and she snapped me the snippet. You well overdue for that link up in person. Text me to fall through its murder, she wrote it. Still up with courage, you're doing a service. Pull up to the crib, I'm equipped with the brush strokes. Cutthroat from the low, where no love goes. Women buddy like it's been that. Wanna fuck me looking at the bill stack off the bubbly.
I know you can't see right now because it's a little dark. This camera is amazing, man. This camera can practically see in the dark. But we do have the moon right there settling down. We got about 30 minutes more on our 30 or 10-hour break. Woke up a little early. And then we can still have the oversized load. We're parked over here on the side of the road. It's like one of those Wyoming little, whatchamacallit, like a historic site, whatever that is. Man, I can't believe how cold it is out here. So let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to oversize. Rates are really good. Take a look at these two loads. There was this one load, man, my goodness. It's only going like 900 miles or something like that, and it's paying like over $7 a mile. And I called it in, right? Of course. And one thing I found out that some of these western states, a majority of these western states you can be up to 14 foot high. I had no idea. I thought it was like, majority of them are 13.6. There are some, but the majority of them over here in the western states you can be 14 foot high. So with our low pro step deck, we are 36-inch high. And then if you haul something that is like 11 foot high, you're going to be right at the 14. So when I called it in, they were like, well, what kind of trailer do you have? I said, I got a 53-foot step deck, low pro. He was like, okay, good. How many axles? He said, I got two. I said, I got two. And then he says, well, 60,000 pounds. I said, wow, 60,000 pounds. They didn't list it at 60,000 pounds. They listed it at like 7,500 pounds. Anyway, 60,000 pounds. I was like, wow, that's amazing. That's heavy. But then that's when it dawned on me. I was like, so that's what the uses are for. That's why you want 3-axle low pro step deck. I was always wondering, like, sometimes I'm wondering, it's like, man, why do you even need a low pro step deck? Those loads hardly come up, right? But I know enough that, like, within trucking, there are more uses for these type of step decks. You just got to find the right customer. But anyway, that's when like I said, that's when it dawned and clicked in my head. It was like, oh, okay, because you could have been on that particular load, you could have been over width but not over height, and you could have hauled that thing with a 3-axle low pro step deck. Of course, you just got to make sure you know what I mean, you're registered for the weight or whatever, or get you an oversized weight, as long as your freaking trailer can handle it, right? I don't know. I think this trailer would have handled it because this trailer is in, I believe, I can't remember how long it was, but anyway, I believe this trailer would be able to handle it because this trailer can handle 60,000 in a 10-foot span. Now, I don't think I want to put all of that work. I mean, I know this truck can handle it because this truck is at 52,000 on the GVRW, right? So we would have been, I believe, 46 on the axles. We could have registered for 46 on the axles, and then 2020 in the back. So yeah, we could actually haul 30 up to 86. Is that right? I don't know if I'm doing my math here properly, but it's just off the top, right off the dome. But anyway, no, I don't want to put that much work on this truck. You know what I mean? Like we could probably just snap this freaking truck in half. But for that on that 60,000 pounds, I think a 3-axle would work better because you can put a lot of that weight on those 3 axles and less strain on your truck. You know what I mean? So that's good to know, though. That's good to know. There's this other load as well, picking up in Chickasha, Oklahoma, and then that would have put us. And I looked up the height for Oklahoma and Texas and Louisiana, and yes, it's also 14. So my goodness, man. And then I was getting ready to book the load, and then they look up my MC. They said, "Man, we need 6 months." I was like, "Oh my goodness, you can't make no exception, man. I mean, like, just take a look. The authority's been open since 2021." You know, he said, "Man, unfortunately, I don't have no control over it." I said, "Oh my goodness, all right, man. I don't blame you, though. It's not his fault, right?" But anyway, wow. So I'm getting my feet wet a little on these oversized things. So I'm liking it. I'm liking the direction, even the oversized that we are on right now. You know, I mean, just take a look at this, like how light that load is. So that brings us to the next point, that majority of the step deck oversized load that I'm seeing is like a whole bunch of like over width, right? And especially on the low pro side of the house is a majority of height. You know what I mean? They're looking for that height. But they don't want to move it on the RGN, so they're trying to save a little bit of money. Maybe, I don't know. Or it could be also like RGN. The well on the RGN is a lot shorter than your say 53-foot step deck. So you know what I mean? So I think I like it. I think I like the direction of it, man. Next good thing is a lot of people usually get intimidated by oversize. Why? I mean, it's understandable, right? Number one is we're not gonna talk about those first, but it's understandable, right? Because look at the width of it. But believe it or not, it's not that bad. You know what I mean? You just gotta be like cautiously driving defensively. You know, it's just you gotta make sure you watching your mirrors. You gotta make sure. I mean, you're supposed to be doing that anyway. It's a trucker, right? But yeah, it's just like driving regularly. Just do what you're supposed to do as a trucker. You know what I mean? Looking ahead. You know what I'm saying? Preparing and anticipating. Events up ahead when you look ahead. You know what I mean? And in addition to looking ahead and driving, you know what I mean? Driving just like a regular truck, is that a lot of people, majority of the time, at least, they respect when they start seeing your oversize and they start seeing you driving, a little bit more than a regular width. So they usually try to stay away from you, which is a good thing. Now let's talk about some bad things. Really, really bad things. Number one is that I'm going to add on to people usually trying to stay away from you, I'm going to add on to that. Now, there's also idiots out there that are not paying attention or do not care, specifically truckers. Boy, I tell you, these people, I've had to hug that shoulder so many times because of idiot trucker, And I'll tell you what, I get so frustrated, man. I'm calling them over the freaking CV radio, telling them, "Man, you're an idiot." I should calm down, really. But it's just amazing how it's like, stay on your lane. You know what I'm saying? Just stay in your lane. You will be fine. Just stay in your lane. Another bad thing is that, permits. Permits usually come in a little late. Permits usually take a long time. Oh, one thing I did find out is that Wyoming permits are a little different. So I get my permits from JJ Keller. I got to call JJ Keller, and they ask you all the information you need so they can apply for your permit, okay? So they ask you for your address and things like that, and then they ask you for your measurements, the width, the height, the length, the width, the weight, so what type of commodity it is and things like that. And then they ask you information about your truck, how many axles do you have, what's your spread between your axles and things like that. So just be aware of that they will be asking a lot of that information. But usually, yeah, it takes a little bit of time to get your permits and stuff. And a lot of times, you're going to be sitting and waiting, things like that. So this permits, actually, I've only for me to move from Kansas to Nebraska to Wyoming and to here, it's actually the most I waited was about an hour and a half, but I was still setting up my signs and everything anyway. You know what I mean? So I waited about an hour and a half. I called them regarding the permits, and then they were like, "Well, it's we're getting references numbers, so that's good. That means they're gonna start issuing them soon." Okay, no worries. So about an hour and a half, I waited and I called them, and then about 20 minutes later, they came in. The bad thing is, like, of course you got to pay for the permit, and then J.J. Keller is not cheap. They charge you like $45 per state. So another bad thing is, like, you're gonna be moving the trailer. You're gonna be moving the wide load only. Most you gotta read your permit, right? You gotta make sure you read your permit. It'll have all the stipulations of what you need and things like that. Okay, but a lot of times those permits will have that you can move 30 minutes before sunshine. What is that? Is that dawn? No, is that dawn? Okay, 30 minutes before sunshine or 30 minutes after sunset, something like that. Yeah. So, yeah, that's the bad part about it. So, like on this load, we didn't get our appointment was at 2 o'clock, and then we didn't get loading until around 3:30 or so, 3 o'clock actually. Yeah, we finished loading about 3 o'clock, and then we got our permits around 4:30 ish or something like that, because I ordered the permits while we were getting loaded. Overall, the load is not bad, man. This particular load is going 1,100 miles, paying 4,600, and they're gonna reimburse us for all the permits and stuff. So basically, getting paid 4,600. So it's over $4 for 20-ish a mile, right? So, and we were able to move it, at a good timing, and the states that we had to go through wasn't so bad, and that's why I was like, whatchamacallit, real. That's why I was glad about that. That's why I didn't mind booking it, even like the oversized that I was looking at. Like, let's say the routing. Oh, let's talk about the routing, right? So the routing, when you call JJ Keller, they ask you what route do you want to take. Make sure you look up the map, and predetermine, see what route you want to take. You gotta be a little bit more familiar with, the area and things like that. That's the thing about pulling oversized, is that, you're going to be scrutinized more, right? Somebody had said this right here, and trust me, I welcome everything, you know what I mean? And I appreciate that information, I really do, because of the fact that I know that you're going to be scrutinized more on here. And I love the fact that he said you want to make zero mistakes, because they're going to find every little detail to ding you on it. So I love that. I appreciate that. Thank you. But anyway, so it's I knew the area. I knew the area should be easier. But anyway, they were JJ Keller is like, did you want to go to Colorado to Denver? I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. Why go to Denver and when I can just shoot up north and then pick up Nebraska and then go down, But the problem was that for some reason they routed me on the US 30 instead of the I-80. So I was on the I-80 for about 40, 50 miles, right? And then I got rerouted onto the US 30, and then, but the thing is, like, by around Big Springs, Nebraska area, the doggone thing, the US 30 reroutes onto the I-80. So, but the routing, it didn't have me picking up the I-80 until Sydney, Nebraska, which is only like 80 miles away from being rerouted from the US 30. For some reason, they were working on the US 30. They got some like big construction on the US 30, and it shut down, at least on the westbound, so it rerouted me. Anyway, but that's the thing, is like you got to follow your route, right? You got to make sure you follow your route. And speaking of that, Wyoming, okay, let me finish Wyoming. So in Wyoming, enable for you to get permits in Wyoming, you have to first apply for a permission to come in and get permits, okay? So you got to go to their website, right, or call the phone number, and then you pick the port of entry where you want to go into to go get your permits. And then basically they ask for the basic information about the load, right? Just like getting a permit, but it's not an actual permit yet. And then once they look it over and be like, okay, he's going to be coming into this port of entry, he's going to be taking, in our case, we took the I-80 westbound, right? We pick up the I-80 from Kimball, Nebraska, right? And then to Pine Bluffs, Wyoming, okay? We came into Wyoming to Pine Bluffs on the I-80, and then I wrote all of that, right? And I told them that, and then once they got all that information, what route I wanted to take, and they approved, and they gave me a number, a permission number or some kind of number. I can't remember what they call it. I'm gonna put it up on the screen. It's a number, and then you go into the port of entry, and then you give them that number, and then that's how you're gonna be given an actual permit to move that load further down into Wyoming or through Wyoming, whatever that is, okay? So Wyoming's a little bit more complicated, but it's actually easy because of the fact that you got officers there, and then port of entries are usually, for the most part, always open, so somebody's always there. I mean, you're not, oh man, I don't remember if, I'm just moving, doing across the board, right? Not moving, during nighttime, things like that. Anyway, so makes it difficult and at the same time easy. You know what I mean? So it's, I don't know how you want to take that, but it's really, for me, it was an easy process. So it costs $25 on this route. We're going across the whole Wyoming. We could have gone the 191 to the 89 south, and then to the 26 west. But I had made a mistake. I mean, it's going to be the same anyway. Now, we're going to be going instead on the 30, so from the I-80 to the 30, to the 89 north, to the 26 west. I think 191 north, and then 89 south and 26 west would have been easier, but that's neither here or there. We got our permit, so we're going to go ahead and take the route that we actually have. Me, the way I do it, I flag. This is like my 5th oversize throughout my whole trucking career or something like that. 5th or 6th or something like that. Anyway, I flag all corners. Everything where there's a flag there, there's a flag on that corner. In this case, this is just the 3-corner thing. There's a flag on this corner, okay? I flag all of those. Basically, you always want to flag the widest part of the load, okay? And also you want to flag the front and the back, and then you also want to make sure you got your sign, right? But that's how I do it normally, standard, okay? Comes standard. But like I said, you have to read your permits. Your permits will tell you what you need to do as far as signage, flagging, lights, and things like that, type of escort or whatever, right? So just remember that. Make sure that you always read your permits, follow your permits. They have directions on there. So fast forward into the future, as I'm editing this video as we speak. I'm trying to get this thing uploaded today. Anyway, I was talking and I was making my closing remarks. Anyway, we got that load unloaded. We are done with it and successfully. And they reimbursed us with the permits. And man, that was amazing. Like, they reimbursed us with the permits real quick, within seconds. So that was amazing. I probably would definitely work with those guys again, and I was happy with the results. But we did headed already into Salt Lake, and it's a holiday weekend. I wish me luck, man.